I was at RSA, right?
Yeah.
And there were 4,500 vendors there, and 2,500 of them had some sort of AI offering.
Yeah.
What I realized after a decade or more is the fact that it wasn't the technology. I was really excited about solving that customer problem.
It's looking more at the financial, what's generally considered a cost center for most of our customers, which is security. It costs to buy technology. It costs to buy the resources to implement and operationalize those. Is how do we turn it into a profit center, right? How has security changed since you started, 30 years ago to what it is today, and how have we changed with that? What do you think's on deck? What's next for security as far as where we're going to be expanding out to? How do you feel like it's going to change over the next decade?
Now you don't even need a human to attack you. I'll just launch an attack, launch it 24/7.
Sales kickoff's going pretty well, man. I could really use a break. Well, I'm glad we're out. You like a cup of coffee? Yeah, for sure, Nate, for sure. So one of the biggest things I saw you hit on in your presentation was, how we're different and how the VAR model that we've seen in the past is evolving and frankly is dead, right? And if you're not providing services or solutions to customers, you're irrelevant. I really enjoyed that.
I appreciate that. And it's something I really latched on to, really with your leadership and mentorship when I first came over here, when we got, what was that, 2017? I'd always been at an OEM and we'd had a 100% channel model. And one of the things that really frustrated me about the traditional VAR model is kind of like man in the middle, just sitting there to pass a quote, tack on some margin, and not really provide any value, whether that was advisory, consulting, or just helping them understand what they were actually purchasing. And so I saw a VAR kind of as an unwanted need more than a value add. And so when I came over here and you pitched to me the idea of, hey, let's pull that back. It's no longer, OEM, us in the middle, just passing paper, and the customer is let's sit on the side of the customer. And I really ran towards that because, like I said, being at two different companies before, where I was like, what am I paying these people for? They're not doing anything for me except maybe set up a lunch and then show up for a renewal. To where now we're more of a extended arm of our customers' employees. So we're sitting down with them, helping them in pre-planning, actually going through each and every line item and then telling them why they need it, what it's doing for the desired outcome.
Educating our customers, right? Being an advocate for sure.
And, somebody of them came to me and said, look, it's, I asked my VAR, what am I actually purchasing here? Which seems simple, but they couldn't tell them. And then for us, working with, the Center of Excellence that we built with Jason, is actually pushing back on the OEM and say, you know what? You're not getting the best deal. You don't need to purchase this. It's going to be shelfware, or let's look at a different way to structure that.
You know what I've noticed? You have that kind of attitude with the customer. Maybe at first, some of the other partners may not understand, or maybe a little even irritating. But then in the long run, they end up getting more, especially with the trusted relationship with the customer. So I think, our partners are just, invaluable to us of BlackLake, but us having that consultative solution-based conversation and build relationships with these customers finds, in the long run, it's best for everybody. Sure.
Well, it seems simple, but actually one of our CISOs we met a few years ago at dinner, who was now a current customer, actually told me the best. He's like, the reason that I was really attracted to you guys from the, 15 other VARs that were trying to earn my business, where all of them came and they asked me, what can I sell you? Or what can I quote you? And he goes, Aaron, I really like you and the team, because he goes, you'll ask, what can I help you with? Yeah. And he goes, sometimes that was just, running down.
That's what we do, man.
What we do is help. And so he's like, I don't need a quote. I need to help, especially nowadays with the VAR model changing. You've got stuff like the marketplace, right?
Yeah.
Which we're adopting. Is there so many avenues to them go and buy a widget or a single firewall?
And sometimes I feel like we're a bank.
We are.
So that's a whole nother financial conversation we can have for sure.
Well, I mean, that's usually part of our conversation, because when we're selling yes to the technical business side, but we still have to deal with the other side of the house, which is the procurement and the finance. And we can go to them and say, not only can we look at cost savings and direct them into how to construct that deal, OpEx versus CapEx, but then say, hey, we got in-house financing to where if you want to structure this and push certain amount of money into one year or another, or just have it where you pay annually and dip it out of cash, a bit of you, bit of both.
One of the things that I really enjoy about, when you started BlackLake and you hear where we're at now is focusing on the customer and the solution. When I was at the vendors OEMs, I got excited, especially at sales kickoffs about the technology that was coming out, what we had to offer to go help customers. And what I realized after a decade or more of doing that is the fact that it wasn't the technology. I was really excited about solving that customer problem. And so that's what we did. That's why we started BlackLake, was to focus on the problem and coming up with the solution. And then obviously the vendor and the technology out there is going to fit where it needs to. But I realized what was really getting me excited was listening to the new technology that I had to offer and then go out and offer things to customers. And that's what we do.
Well, if you focus on the solution, which I think a lot of the traditional VAR is, and how can I go sell this person that solution, and you haven't even listened to the problem, you're going to see yourself fail. What I like is when we listen to the customer's problem and our solution isn't just throwing another technology at it. It's say, hey, we can already take what you've invested in and maybe with, some hand-on resources come in and for a large amount of cost savings, be able to fix this problem for you with your desired outcome. We did the customer not too long ago where they were looking at an overlapping solution, and one of our competitive bars who have been there trying to make a singular sale. We said, hey, well, you don't need to buy anything. The Kira's deal with, you're passing up selling us something. I said, yeah, because Rick and I here for a singular deal. I'm here for the next 100 deals over the next 10 years. And again, that's really resonated with our
customer relationships are so huge, and then that's just what we do here. And I think everybody that we brought together at BlackLake in a very short amount of time feels the same way. That's a culture. Is at the end of the day, no matter what we're selling not only ourselves but the company culture and the fact that we're going to help you in some way.
Well, you guys came up with it right out of the gate with the clarity model, and what started out as, I believe, kind of a methodology or an ideology is now becoming an actual commoditized product, or, we're turning it into a life cycle management. But, when it was more of an idea, I get customers calling me and saying, hey, we looked at your website. Tell me about what is clarity, or someone we were interviewing. And I'm like, you know what, man, I'm really glad that you asked. And I think it goes from just, the trust that we're giving to our customers that they have in us to, you think it's simple. It's something like showing MSRP on a quote or really helping understand this is what you're purchasing.
The transparency.
And that transparency builds trust. And ultimately, they want a partner, a true partner in the back pocket that they can trust over someone who can just sell them a product.
Yeah. So where do we go from here, man? I know we're going to talk about it here in a minute when we finish our sales kickoff, but where do we go from here? What's your thoughts, man?
I think it's turning clarity from a methodology into an actual product. And ultimately, it's looking more at the financial, what's generally considered a cost center for most of our customers, which is security.
Mm-hmm.
It costs to buy technology. It costs to buy the resources to implement and operationalize those. Is how do we turn it into a profit center, right?
Yeah.
And one thing that we've done really well is keep our ear to the grindstone of the new technology coming out, whether it be from, the Silicon Valley, the technologies out of Israel, adopting an AI model and going to some of our customers and saying, hey, look, y'all can actually now maybe purchase this technology and then use it as a profit center to sell to your subsidiaries or even get invested early. I saw, one of our large credit card companies took several technologies and invested in it. And it's now, that company and invested by them. And so now they're using it to, yes, keep their employees and their customers secure, but they're actually turning it into a profit center so they can expand, because as we go more and more digital in this world, security is just growing and you can't continue to be a cost.
Yeah. I mean, just watching these OEMs and how their technology is getting better and better and better for the different types of attacks that are out there. I think one thing I talked about earlier in my talk in sales kickoff was about how the freedom of the world has really made security very difficult. So now you're really focusing on a user. You're focusing on whatever device the user wants to use that day, maybe multiple devices, and it's location agnostic. It's anywhere in the world. The freedom has never been more, and with that, security is a huge concern. And AI. So now is it even a human, right? And that's real, and that stuff's coming. Ransomware is a huge problem. We've got a partner in there talking about it here in just a minute. I'm looking forward to to hearing what Halcyon has to say. I love what Palo Alto has to say all the time with their approach to their platform and different partners that we have, right? I think I'm excited. The world, I think the future looks really bright in this world, and I think that we're going to be there to help our customers.
Absolutely. And again, the key word there is help. It's not just selling them something. And when you're helping set that strategy,
Yeah.
and you almost can be sitting in the cubicle next to them and you're going, hey, Kirk, Aaron, what have you seen from your customers? Or tell us the difference between two different technologies and how it fits us best. It's like both will work, right?
Yeah.
But how is it going to fit into how you're architected, into really the flavor that you
Right.
want? We're not wearing the logo on either one.
No.
Like we've seen it work over here and we've seen it work in option B.
What really makes the difference at BlackLake as far as our cultures, our people that work here, our team. And one thing I want you to always focus on, and also for your team, is feedback. So when I say kind of what's next and how are we going to grow, it comes from within. Mark and I are not dictators. We don't force things down. We want feedback up. We want to see what's going on in the world. We want to see what's going on in our customers' environments, and then make changes from there. So we're going to be growing and expanding faster and quicker than we ever have, nationally, globally. We're going to be expanding our offerings. We're going to be expanding the different markets that we touch. We're going to be expanding our services. Like I mentioned earlier, sometimes I feel like I'm a bank, right? So we're financially helping our customers, and we're going to be hiring like crazy. So
Well, not only do we need to grow so we can meet more people, we've almost taken the Jerry Maguire approach sometimes, which is the right customers and more focus, having that white glove approach. And
Yeah.
I always want to keep that. I was talking with one of our chief security officers not too long ago at a dinner, and he was saying he likes that about us. We're very security focused. He knows he's got a whole team behind him, and not maybe one of the big box shops that just sees him as a number.
Yeah.
But in talking with him as well, we were talking about where do we go next.
Yeah.
And he goes, look, I don't need y'all to sell me technology. That's a byproduct of what y'all do. He goes, I've got all the technology I need right now. I need y'all to help me consolidate my technology. I need y'all to help me make it operational.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I need to help me harden it. Because right now, I've got adversaries out there, from ransomware to even it's becoming almost bleeding over to physical security, because they were really worried after, the United Health assassination of how do they secure to maybe protect their own employees. And so it's not just selling the widget. And is that done through our people and our process, or even how do I look to you guiding me down the path of AI
Right.
and making my organization, a little bit smoother?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot to be thankful for, and a lot to be happy about and look forward to. I think, like I said, I think the future looks bright, not just for BlackLake, but I think for our customers.
What do you think is next for us as far as, maybe looking more and more into a product offering or something a bit more tangible than just the trust and the services that we built?
We're always interested in enhancing our IP internally, for sure. I think we've made some investments in some small startup IP, if you will, and it's about all I can talk about. But at the same time, what's next is what I mentioned earlier, which is growth. Our OEMs are wanting us to be bigger because of the way we, relate with our clients and, the services and solutions that we offer. And so Mark and I are going to be heavily focused on rapid growth. And you're going to see that you need resources for your team.
Yes.
Right. You need hiring. You need bigger team. You need people across the nation. We're going to provide for that.
Well, it's funny you asked that. I got asked by one of our OEMs up in the Chicago area the other day. We were working a very strategic deal with them, and we were able to provide some things that, the traditional VAR couldn't, whether that be through the Clarity method or just some of the practices we built. And they said, hey, how else can you help us out in this region? What other accounts do you have here in the Chicago area outside of the one that we're working on? And I told them, I was like, look, that's in the future. It's coming. We're going to be hiring, but they are starving for us to get there.
Oh, yeah.
They said, we need partners like you.
Yeah.
And then I was in New York, and I was meeting with one of the vice presidents of Palo Alto. I had dinner with him.
Yeah.
And he has the East Coast. And again, kind of same thing. We have some choice accounts out there. He goes, when are y'all going to get people here? I said, soon, but why? He goes, well, we've got a particular bar that is one of your main competitors. Everyone kind of, pivots to here just because they're the only one. And they are just, we need someone else because they are not meeting the customer's needs.
Right.
But they almost have a monopoly. He goes, you guys get out here and I will help you. They need the clarity approach. So hearing that we need to expand from our OEMs and our customers, really made me stand up and listen. And it's great to hear that you.
Well, I mean, by the same token, the movie Jerry Maguire, man.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna keep the fewer customer, more personal attention approach as far as we grow and expand geographically and more clients come online. We're not going to forget about our old ones. I think that's another thing that some of our competitors do, especially the big ones. They got numbers to meet too. They're almost like that vendor, right? They're getting stuff done tactically and they're moving on, right? Not us, man. We're going to stay there. We're going to go deep wide. We're going to be an extension of our customers and we're never going to lose that.
So I've been doing this for 10 years now, but you've been at this for the better part of 30 years, right? If you go back to the beginning, how has security changed since you started, 30 years ago to what it is today, and how have we changed with that?
Oh man, security used to be a lot easier 20, 30 years ago, right? As networks and communication continue to get faster, quicker, more convenient, like I mentioned earlier, you become more and more free to do your job. It's more and more challenging. So used to, you had data centers, you had office buildings, HQs, you had remote locations, you had users at home. And you'd come up with a model that would secure all that. A lot of network security, right? And then some endpoint, things like that, server security. And it has just evolved light years. So once again, it's less about where you're at. In fact, who goes in the office anymore? I mean, some of our big customers are in the office, but it's about that user having complete freedom to be anywhere in the world on any device and be totally secure.
So if you had your crystal ball, so the next 10 years, how do you see security, I wouldn't say changing, but evolving?
Yeah.
Because, you've been able to see the past 3 decades. What's next?
I think crystal ball, cloud's just beginning, right? Like I said earlier, when you asked me about the protecting servers at HQ, it's in the cloud now. It's faster. It's in some cases more cost effective. And once again, it's location agnostic and you can, get to your data anywhere, right? We're just getting started on that. I think it's going to continue to grow. And then, the buzzword now is AI, right? So now you don't even need a human to attack you. I'll just launch an attack and launch it 24/7.
So you're saying if they're going to take advantage of using a non-human to attack, we need to adopt the same model.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's really cool, slick companies coming up. We've made a small equity investment in a couple of them, where we're going to be able to handle that. So I think AI is just getting started. I think right now the biggest thing is bring your own AI. So I'm an employee. I've got ChatGPT on my phone and my laptop because it helps me. What's the weather today to help me craft an email. And you just walked into my environment. So once again, the freedom of the user, right? So now they're walking back into HQ because work from home is not as prevalent. People are being forced to go back in the office. Wait a minute, what's that on your phone? So how do you handle that? How do you handle an agent-based AI on multiple devices? And so we feel like we can do that. We already have multiple solutions to do that.
And I think that's where our customers are going to look to us, because when you look at the current environment, I was at RSA, right?
Yeah.
And there were 4,500 vendors there, and 2,500 of them had some sort of AI offering.
Yeah.
And so whether it's AI or just you pick your vertical within security, customers are coming to us and said, hey, y'all are my consultant. What is it that's actually working? What is the AI that's protecting? What's the AI that...
Yeah, is it really automation that the vendor was already doing?
But also you have other customers, right? And again, we're not wearing that logo. So, hey, what are your other customers doing that I'm not? And we can sit there and say, well, look, we've got X Fortune 500 customers, and here's what we're seeing. And we alleviate that time that they don't have to go out and evaluate by doing it for them.
One of my favorite things to do is we don't really spread customer logos around with other customers, is to get 2 different C-levels from, let's say, 2 different banks together at a dinner.
Yes.
And just my favorite thing is to just press play and watch it.
Well, the mind share.
What? Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. And then they end up being friends, but yeah, I love that kind of stuff. Getting those relationships together and having those guys talk about what they're trying to solve as different use cases is pretty cool.
And that's part of what we do. We bring relationships together, right?
It's another thing we do. Absolutely. Yeah. And you're real good at that, by the way.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. I had a great mentor in it. We'll go back to the beginning, but, not only we bring in them, advice on a very crowded marketplace, but, typically when we're looking at a project, again, we don't want to be, I had a customer come to me and they said, "Hey, can you take a look at this contract for me and give me your thoughts?" And I took a look at it. And again, I didn't want to throw anyone under the bus, but I said, "Well, when did you get this?" He said, "Well, I got it 30 days or about a week ago, and it's due in 30 days. And it was a multi-million-dollar contract. My first question was, why are you just getting a quote for a multi-million-dollar renewal, 30 days beforehand?
Yeah.
And, it's to be said where the OEM was, but my question to him is, "Where's your partner?" And he said, "You know what? They're sitting back there waiting on a paycheck." And I said,
Just waiting to quote it.
just waiting to quote.
Whatever.
They'd quoted it. They knew they couldn't rip it out. And I said, my team would be 6 months ahead of this because I never want to be that person that's just looked at as waiting on a paycheck, waiting on collecting revenue for without doing anything.
And not just to quote it first, it's to make sure, is this the right thing?
Is it correct?
Is it correct? Is this the right thing for you still?
Yeah.
If so, let's work with the vendor to try to get it, look at other things, right?
Well, and with that traditional VAR had done, not only had they dropped off a multi-million-dollar quote 30 days beforehand, they had done nothing as far as prepping the customer. What was in it? Did they need it? Was there anything they could take out or transfer? There was no cost analysis. I'm like, you are missing valuable time. And now that contract's coming back around, right? And we're doing all that for them. We got a year ahead of it.
Yeah.
And so in speaking with them, that earned a lot of the trust that we talked about. And then, they started bringing us into more and more. And finally, we were working a micro segmentation project with them. And in speaking with them, they were about to spend another multi-million dollars on a specific tool. And we said, "Guys, pump the brakes. Don't do that.
Yeah.
You've actually got the tooling from several different tools in-house that can solve how y'all are defining this project. We can actually accomplish it with just some professional services. And, it's going to save you about $4.5 million. And they were floored. They said, "We're going to buy this through you, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, but, I wouldn't be being a good partner or consultant without telling you that." And I was talking with one of the procurement guys who goes, "Hey, it's really, big of BlackLake to pass up this transaction." And I said, "Well, man, we're not after a singular transaction, because what I saw with the last partner, that singular transaction mindset is what got them removed." I said, I'm here to consult, and after the next 100 transactions over the next 10 years. And man, that hit home with them and earned so much trust.
Well, man, one of the things you've been talking about is the time component. I think the vendors are wonderful partners. We need them. But there's always a time pressure. It's get it in now. Right. And so what we try to do here at BlackLake's pull that off the customer, right? Now, we will let you know if something's urgent, if we got price increases coming or, whatever the issue might be coming up. But at the same time, we're not going to pressure you. We want to have a relationship with you, right? Another thing is you go back to the renewals you were talking about delivering a quote a month in advance. We don't believe in having a separate renewals organization or having some automated system that fires out a quote a month in advance. What we do is we know our customers. We treat it like any other transaction. So you buy something from us and your renewal, let's say, is 3 years from now. We treat that as a brand new opportunity to sit down a year in advance and go, is this still what you need? Is this still what you want? Or do we need something else? Have you looked at the rest of the platform? It is literally a conversation. We know that's coming up. But we leave that up to our individual reps and our VPs to make sure that this is something for the customer still, and that it's a good deal or whatever, right? We're not going to have this automated, "Hey, your renewals, dude, here's a quote," approach. And so anyway, that, but things like that are what make us different. And I have never been more excited about where we're at as a company. And with that, we probably ought to get back inside.
I mean, we need to make sure they're not, running away with everything in there. I'm excited about what they've got to say, but it was great chatting with you. I get fired up when I hear about the growth, especially where we came from. And I know our customers are be looking forward to it. They're like I said, they're begging for us to get people within territory, the offerings that we're working on. And man, I'm excited about the future.
Let's go, man. Let's go. All right.